Hi, my name is Cecil Baumann, and I'm your host and the founder of the company Ganz in Bewegung. I'm a movement and Alexander technique specialist. My business serves holistic thinking people who want to improve their mind-body connection. Welcome to today's conversation featuring two remarkable thought leaders in the realms of personal development, movement, and creative thinking, Bruce Fertman and Michael Gelb. We are so excited to have Bruce here today, and we look forward to have Michael another time with us. But before I bring Bruce up, I want to share what I mean by mind-body connection. The Ganz in Bewegung system we developed includes 7 defining components of being human. For non-German speakers, the meaning of Ganz in Bewegung is the whole of you in motion, which includes your movement, your body, your surrounding, your experience, your emotion, your thinking, and it's all connected with your breathing and all is interconnected with each other. We're thrilled to have Bruce Fertman, an esteemed educator of the Alexander Technique, who has dedicated over 3 decades to teach and transforming lives through the harmony of physical and spiritual practices. His extensive training in various movement disciplines and a rich background in psychology create a unique perspective that empowers individuals to realize their fullest potential. I can warmly recommend the book Teaching by Hand, Learning by Heart to anyone who comes into contact with others through touch. Michael Gelb is a trailblazer in creative thinking and innovative leadership with a clientele that includes major corporations like Microsoft and Nike. Michael has been instrumental in applying genius thinking to enhance both personal and organizational effectiveness. He is the acclaimed author of 17 books, including the widely celebrated How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci. As a professional juggler with a passion for wine, Michael's vibrant approach to teaching and team building infuses creativity into everything he does. For most Alexander Technique teachers, the book Body Learning, An Introduction to the Alexander Technique is a highly recommended book. Together, Bruce and Michael have combined their wealth of knowledge and experience to write Walking Well, a new approach for comfort, vitality, and inspiration in every step. In this insightful book, they explore how mindful movement can not only improve our physical well-being, but also inspire us in our everyday lives. Get ready to delve into a conversation that promises to enrich your understanding of movement, creativity, and the interconnectedness of our physical and spiritual journeys. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Bruce Fertman or Michael Gelb, please contact them directly. Now, let's bring Bruce up. Welcome, Bruce. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's a pity and very sad that Michael can't join us today because of a loss in the family. And we completely understand that he can't make it today, but I look forward to interview him another time. So I'm so glad you're here. I had the pleasure meeting you in Switzerland a while ago when we invited you to give a workshop for the Swiss Association of Alexander Technique Teachers. Now I get the chance to interview you, and I'm so glad. Can you share how the Alexander Technique informs your understanding of movement, especially walking?
Sure. Well, I've been in love with human movement since I was a little kid. I've just enjoyed it forever, and I still do. I'm 73, and I still love thinking about human movement. Alexander Technique gave me something that every other discipline that I had studied didn't. And I found certain teachers that were extraordinary to study with. So what's particular for me about Alexander's work is that through the use of hands, through very gentle touch, my teachers were able to get me to let go of efforting in my body, ways of efforting that I knew were making me uncomfortable and not function as well, that they were able to get those ways of efforting and holding myself gone, just to fall away. And in place of that holding, of these holding patterns, I was, my innate coordination was liberated. And I just found myself moving so effortlessly. And so it brought even greater pleasure and more power to my movement life. And my movement life was very active. I was, at that time, I was a modern dancer, professional modern dancer. I was studying Aikido, I was studying Tai Chi. So I was moving from morning till night. And suddenly there was just a joy. Yeah, just a joy in moving. So I decided I would have to become an Alexander teacher. I was also so in love with the way my teachers used their hands. It just seemed magical. So I said, I don't care how long it takes me. I must get hands like that. And
Yeah.
so that's how that came about. That's my connection between Alexander work and movement. Michael and I met in 1976, and we were both young Alexander teachers. So that's we've known each other a really long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yes, that's very long.
And another reason that I was inspired to be an Alexander teacher is one of my teachers, Marjorie Barstow, who was the first person Alexander certified to teach back in the 1930s.
Mhm.
She worked in groups, and so I would get the opportunity to see what I was experiencing, to actually see it in other people and what it looked like. And people, no matter what they looked like externally, became really beautiful from the inside out. And that inspired me. It was like people became, everything artificial sort of fell away, and it was
Mhm.
like, there they are, like they were unveiled, or like this.
Yeah.
That struck me as really profoundly beautiful, and I wanted to have that in my life.
Mhm.
So that was another
Yeah.
reason for wanting to teach.
Yeah. The recent studies found that older Alexander technique practitioners showed significantly improved gait patterns. What was your reaction to these findings?
Well, it's interesting. I had teachers that taught walking from when I was I guess as early as 19 years old, when I started studying modern dance and Alexander technique. So uh, I had a dance teacher that said, if you can't, he was quoting Isadora Duncan, if you can't walk, uh, you can't dance, you know.
So
Uh,
interesting.
yeah,
Hmm.
so there I had classes that were where there was so much just simple walking. And uh, yeah, so that was always so, I had thought about it for a long time. But when I started to realize that the way to get the principles of the Alexander technique across to everyday people, the
Hmm.
best way to do that was through walking. Because people, if they're lucky enough to be able to walk, then they walk all through their day, because you're doing one thing in one room and you have to walk to do something else in another room, right? We're at the computer working, and then we want a cup of tea, and we walk to another room, and then right? And then
Hmm.
we put on our jacket and we walk to our car, we walk to the train, and we don't think about it, but actually it's the activity that it's the transitional activity that connects one event to another
Sorry.
event. That's okay. Yeah, so walking is it's quintessentially human. And so I realized, I said, oh, if we're going to get this work across to the largest number of people, then walking is the way to do it. There's already thousands of walking clubs in the world, and people like to walk. So I thought that is the movement avenue through which to impart Alexander principles. And then once I came up with that idea, I I started working out a very concise methodology about walking. And that happened during COVID because I was in Osaka, which was a great place to be during COVID because people were used to wearing masks and
Okay.
very conscientious of other people. And it just wasn't the right place to be. But still, we were very careful. And I spent most of my days riding my bike to a big river and then walking for miles by the river. And um, and that was where I really worked out my methodology because I said, if I'm going to teach this to a large group of people, I want my methodology to be really sound. So then during a, a year after that, I entertained this idea of talking to Michael and writing a book together because he's a very experienced writer. And we basically wrote the book walking because we walked miles every day, and our ideas would come to us when we were walking, right? We would
Hmm.
write them down, we'd come back home and we write. And it was for like a year, all we were doing was walking and writing and talking to each other, and walking and writing and talking to each other. And you see, when you walk, you get more oxygen, especially if you walk well, you get
Hmm.
more oxygen to the brain. And the brain uses about 20% of our oxygen. And so if you're moving and you're getting all that breath, you come up with better ideas. And
Yeah.
so
And
so your beautiful chart, you
mhm,
know, the relationship between movement and breath and thinking. And then you get happy because you have good ideas, and then your
mhm,
emotions are right, and you're walking and you're outside and it's gorgeous,
mhm.
right? And so
Yeah.
it's like all that is working
Yeah. In an upward spiral,
in an upward way.
uplifting,
Yes,
you
because
know.
it can work the other way too.
Yes. Yes, that's
Absolutely.
true.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's so
that's the
wonderful.
odds.
That's
Yeah.
so good. And it's such a simple activity, but you train everything. You train coordination and also, stability and grounding yourself. And there is so much in it. And actually, it's a very complex coordination from the whole body. Everything is moving. So
Yes,
it's not
it's
that
the
easy.
largest movement we can make.
Yes, and
It's the
people think,
largest
yeah,
movement.
just walk, but it's really, if you really think about it and go deep into it, it's really fascinating. And as you
That's one of the
said,
reasons it's so healthy.
yeah, and as you said, if you can walk well, you can dance or you can do whatever, whatever sport. It's just the start, you can really influence your quality of
Yes, yes,
coordinating movement.
yes.
Wonderful. Yeah, and actually it proves that if you keep walking as you get older, your gait is improving. Your you walk secure, more secure.
Well, yes, if you know how to walk well,
That's what I
because
mean.
we
You
are
train
we
the
are
good
an,
things.
we yes, we're an accumulation
Hmm.
of our habits.
Hmm.
So, if we're not walking well and we walk for a long time, it's great that we're walking.
Hmm.
If we're not walking well, we're getting better at not walking well.
Yeah. And
And
harming our bodies.
yes, and then it's not as it's still beneficial. Even not walking well is still beneficial. But 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 if you can learn to walk well, if you know the principles, over time you'll be walking better and better and better.
Yeah.
And then your balance as you age stays really good.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a direct correlation between balance and good aging.
Yes, yes,
Health
I'm absolutely with
and
you
breath.
in this. And
They
breath.
all go together.
Yeah. Yeah, and also in staying healthy and healthy joints and the health benefits
Yes.
and
Yeah.
also the thinking because you have enough oxygen.
Yes.
There is so many benefits.
It's the simplest way to keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Moving is like watering the body. Like we wake up and if we have plants, we rarely forget to water our plants because we love our plants. So we water, or if we have a cat or we have a dog, we give them water, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't water ourselves. And it's like the way you water your joints and your muscles and is through movement.
Mm-hmm.
The better you move, the more fluid and comfortable you remain as you age.
Yeah, I mean, you get a car, you buy a car, and then you are every year or two you go and you make that the car is still running well, they oil and do everything what's necessary. But with our bodies, we are very careless sometimes.
Yeah, yes. We
It's
get so
really.
busy that we
Mhm.
forget that we're doing everything through our body.
Yeah, and we have to really take care daily, actually,
Yeah.
to
And
just
it
stay
doesn't mean
healthy.
going to the gym. You
No,
can go to the gym, but you don't have to do a lot.
no.
You know,
Yeah.
you just, this is the way I explain it to my students. This is all humans do. This is what we do. It's so
Yeah.
simple. We lie down,
Mhm.
we sit, we stand, we walk, or we transition between them.
Yeah.
And that is all we do. So, for instance, right now, I'm speaking to you, but what I call my background body, what my background body is doing is sitting.
Yes.
And then through my sitting, as I am sitting, I'm speaking to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I could be standing, but and speaking, or I could be lying
Mm-hmm.
down and speaking, right?
Yes.
Right? Or I could be walking and speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's all we do. So once you learn to do those simple things well, you're moving well through the whole day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
And
what
that's
in the
not,
book, that's what we're after.
yeah, and that's not that easy, as we know.
Well, it's easy and not easy. It's like
Yeah, it's both.
if you know a couple basic things about
Yeah.
lying down, about sitting, about standing, and about walking, you can radically change your life.
Yeah.
And that's what Michael and I attempted to do because, we're reaching people only through a book.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, what can we teach them
Mm-hmm.
about what what we call the five dignities: lying,
Mm-hmm.
sitting, standing, walking, breathing, the
Yes.
five dignities.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the most simple things that we could teach a person that if they got those and they're not
Mm-hmm.
difficult and they
No.
practice them for a couple years, it would be a radical transformation. And that's if you read the book and if you go to our website, walkingwell.com, we put videos about all those things.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if you're motivated, you could radically change your whole movement life just through that book and the website.
Yeah. And I'm the one I have to try everything out. And I already listened to the videos and I already used the bear and the how do you say, the Kranich, you know, all the images of the animals you use. Yeah, it's
And
great.
get
I
people
love it.
moving because it's playful
Yes.
and uh, effective
Yeah.
for a number of reasons. Um, and movement teachers have been using animal imagery forever. You know,
Yeah,
yoga
yeah. Me too.
teachers, martial artists, just always.
Mm-hmm.
Because we watch animals and they move in certain ways. We really love watching them.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't interfered with their natural coordination. So
Mm-hmm.
they move very well. And the other thing that's so effective, the reason why it's so effective to work with animal imagery when you're teaching movement is because it puts people in their child, uh,
Yeah.
in their feeling of, they feel like a child. You know, one of my students said, she's an elementary school teacher, and she said, when my kids are like losing, they're out of it, they're totally
Mm-hmm.
scattered, you can't, they're crazy. She says, okay, everyone stand up and become an elephant, right? And then the whole room becomes right? And they say,
Yeah.
okay, now become an eagle,
Yeah.
right? And they all
Mm-hmm.
fly around. And she says, in 10 minutes, they're fine.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
said it works 100% of the time. So
Oh,
people like it. It's
yeah.
enjoyable and fun to work
Yes.
with animal imagery. So we do that a lot in the book.
Yeah, and it's really so useful, and that's the easy part. It's you know, to keep practicing and
Yeah.
also remind yourself during daily life and
Mhm.
integrate it, and not only be the bear just
Yeah.
once in a while, but
Right.
you
And you know
stay
what
with this
is
new way of
Michael and
being.
I are, quite educated, and we're
Yes.
kind of intellectuals in a way. Michael's written 18 books, right? So we think a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, we have higher degrees in education and everything, but we choose to teach through animal imagery. Like an 8-year-old could learn everything we're teaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we do that because it's the most effective way to get people to do what we want, right? To move
Yeah.
better. So,
Yeah.
so you don't have to be fancy to do this.
It's very clever
Yeah,
way. And it's
yeah,
also shifting, you know, you're not anymore the person with all your patterns and habits. You're an animal. You know, you put yourself aside a little bit and can experience more freedom because of your thinking of
yeah,
being this animal. It's a very
yes,
good way to get
yes.
used to a new way of feeling, also a new way of feeling, new way of being, and then to make it work for you whenever you're needing it, like performing or whatever.
Hmm. Oh yeah, like sometimes I split wood because I heat my house with wood, right?
Yeah.
So I have a lot of wood to split. And so if I split it, it feels one way. But if I remember the bear, if I become
Uh-huh.
a bear, you know, it's twice as easy. It's so easy to split the wood.
Hmm.
So you start to be able to play with it inside of
Hmm.
different, not just in walking, inside of different activities.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, I love it. I really love it. What do you believe are some common misconceptions about the Alexander technique that you hope walking well can address?
Ah, oh, that's a great question. Well, in Alexander technique, which I adore, you know, uh, but I love it so much, and I've been studying it for so long, 50 years, that longer than 50 years, 20, yeah, longer, over 50 years, because I started when I was
Wow.
19, right? So I love it so much that, and I've studied it so thoroughly that I also know its blind spots and I
Mm-hmm.
know its biases because every movement study has biases. So Alexander's has this brilliant ability to become aware of this area, the whole neck region in relation to the head and the torso, and they tend to enter through freeing up this area, which is a brilliant idea and very, very effective. However, when it comes to walking, it is better to start from the ground because biomechanically, that's how it works. It's like you cannot take one step without the ground.
Yes.
It's impossible. So it's not an action. Walking is not an action. Walking is an interaction. You cannot walk
Absolutely.
just because you say, I want to walk. You can't do it. So
Yeah,
it's an
you need the ground.
interaction. It's an interaction with the ground, and it all begins with your back foot. So the ground gives us an just enormous amount of support. But if our feet are tense and our ankles are tense, we cannot interact with the ground well.
Mhm.
So the first step is you need to get really relaxed feet and ankles. And that's where we teach bare feet because they're so
Mhm.
big and so relaxed, right? So if you read a book that Alexander wrote called The Use of the Self, and if you read the part called Evolution of the Technique, Alexander teachers tend to forget these couple pages in the beginning where he talks about his feet
Mhm.
and how tense his feet were. Yeah, he was grabbing the floor with his toes and holding his arches up and probably throwing his weight to the outside of the foot. And
Mhm.
once you start tensing that part of the body, the legs get tensed all the way up, right? Which
Mhm.
really inhibits the freedom of the pelvis. So walking is going to be very much interfered with. So we start with the feet. They're very easy to access and to relax with just if you know the right words and you know the right ideas. And then walking, that relaxes the legs. And then the legs work in such a way where they start to really move the pelvis. And then when the pelvis really starts to swing, we say it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. So when the pelvis starts to swing, the torso starts to work in counterbalance,
Mhm.
and then suddenly the whole body is moving, including all the organs
Mhm.
inside the body, which of course it also includes the diaphragm and the lungs, right? So
Yeah.
that is always, it's crucial. And and um, and then it's just really a matter of establishing head poise on top of all that. And then you got a person really moving well.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you experience physical challenges with a knee replacement,
Not me,
or
Michael. Well, Michael is a fifth dan Aikidoist and of a certain approach to Aikido that's pretty rough. And
yeah.
so he kind of, he has some athletic injuries, but
Uh-huh.
Michael is able and was able to recover from that so quickly and so well because of what he
Mhm.
understood. And in my case, I went through a period where I did a lot of Japanese tea ceremony. And when you do Japanese tea ceremony, you have to kneel for
Mhm.
hours, right? And so I injured a knee doing that. And I really
Uh-huh.
thought for a while, oh my God, I'm never going to recover from that. And I decided, well, you know what? why don't I just start walking more? And it was
Mm-hmm.
walking well
Yes,
that really helped my knee. So
that's
now
so good.
yeah, I am more comfortable in my body than I've ever been in my entire life.
That's just amazing. That's
Yeah, it
really,
is.
I think, normally people tell you, when you get older, you get these aches and pains, and that's normal. And with Alexander teachers, I'm at like you and Michael, they
Yeah.
get better. It's like a
Yeah.
good
Well,
wine. Every
pe-
year is
yes.
improving the
Yeah,
thinking, the body,
people,
everything.
things happen to people's body and they immediately say, oh, that's because I'm getting older.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but no, it's because you're doing certain things with your body over and over again, and it's hurting your body. And it's
yeah,
not
it's a
related to
habit.
your age. I had about 10 teachers in my life, and I mean, I've had many teachers, but 10 movement teachers. And almost all of them, some of them were only taught into their late 80s, but most of them taught into their mid 90s, and three of them taught into their hundreds.
No, that's amazing. Yes.
Yes.
Movement is
So
just keeping us healthy, huh?
yeah, yes.
Never
Well,
stop moving.
yeah. So they really made me understand that, oh, so much of that stuff that happens to aging bodies is not about aging,
Hmm. Yeah,
but it
it's
really
like
takes some training.
yeah, it's
All these
really,
people trained. Yeah,
and the mindset, if you think you are old and you
yeah,
behave like an old woman
yeah,
or man. It's
yeah,
also
yeah.
about the
And
thinking.
and
Same.
aging, I have nothing against aging. The alternative is not great, but aging, I mean, I'm happier in my 70s than I have ever been, and wiser and kinder. And it's like the reason why we age, according to this wonderful thinker, James Hillman, is because it takes a long time to develop our character as a human being. Our bodies are sort of finished reproducing the species quite young, and we're at our most physically strongest and when we're in our 20s, and that's it. So why do we keep living? So
Yes.
why do we live into our 70s and 80s?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Hillman's theory is it's because it takes time to become a wise, mature person. Because we need to learn from our experiences and from our mistakes,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So it takes time. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm so happy now because I've had time to mature and having a physical body that allows you to have energy as you age is going to help that process.
Yes,
Yes,
definitely.
because if you're moving and you're comfortable and you're breathing and you have energy, it allows you to continue participating
Hmm.
in life,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, Michael and I are starting a whole new business around walking in
Great.
our 70s, right? It's
Yeah.
like we feel like we're just taking off.
Ah.
So,
Yeah, I
so
find it
that's,
so inspiring. When I saw this book coming out, I was like, oh, I need to have you both on my podcast. That's amazing. Such
yeah.
two wise men making a book. I mean, that's double packed with a lot of information and a lot of, and not complicated. That's what I love about the book. As you said, you like to play and to make it easy for people to adapt because you want to
Well, you
help
see,
so many people.
that's part of maturity as a
Yes.
teacher, because teachers that teach for decades, and Michael and I are into like our second half century of teaching. You know, one of the things that mature teachers do is they start distilling what they
Hmm.
know. and cooking it down to the essence. And
Mm-hmm.
they find simple ways of getting very profound and complex ideas across. That
Mm-hmm.
comes from a lifetime of teaching. So when
Mm-hmm.
we're younger, we like to learn, we learn a whole bunch and we learn lots of fancy words, which I know, but I don't use them because they're not necessary. And so you want to impress people and you want to be complicated and sophisticated and right. And you get older, no, you just want to help people, you know,
Yeah.
and you want to make things as simple and clear as possible. So
Yeah.
so that's kind of where Michael and I are now.
Mm-hmm.
Michael and I are really devoted to lessening suffering for people and
Mm-hmm.
increasing pleasure.
Yeah.
That's our thing, you know,
Yeah.
and most spiritual teachers want people not to suffer unnecessarily. And they want people to see the beauty in life and they want people to be lively and
Mm-hmm.
awake, you know, and
Yeah.
and that's where Michael and I are. And we're just serving through because we both know so much about movement and its connection to spiritual life that
Yes.
we're both that this is our way of getting across to the largest number of people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're doing. Reading our book is a little bit almost like being in class with us. And and then through the website, we're also teaching a course. So you
Mm-hmm.
get to work with us live online,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then uh, and then you just want to find teachers where you live too that are really great, that know a lot and are great movers and understand how the body works. So I encourage people to support great teachers, find them and support them.
I wonder how this works. Can you tell us a bit more about, is it by Zoom? Is it a Zoom live course? Is it
Yes.
while walking? Do you put in the ear, this
Oh, okay,
ones, and
great,
then you
great.
walk, or,
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit for the
So I'll just tell you that,
listeners?
I spent my life teaching people in class and using my hands to help people. And I must have had 15,000 people under my hands in my life when I try to count it. So that was my way of working. And then COVID happened, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I ventured to try out teaching online, and it turned out I loved it. And that I could get so much across
Mhm.
working online. So now I'm really comfortable and skilled at it. So, so when I teach walking, I'll be in my house and I will, let's say, start to talk about the feet and I'll demonstrate something, right? And I'll give an image
Mhm.
and or I'll explain some anatomy and I'll get it so people get the idea, they get the image, and I have them walk in their house, right? And little by little, over a period of weeks, they're they got it. And I say, in between classes during the week, take a walk every day and work on
Mhm.
material. So like it's effective.
Yeah.
Um, and then Michael and I plan over the next year to make tapes, walking tapes,
Oh,
walking.
wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And because that's just a kind of a no-brainer. It's like
Yeah.
we're gonna make it so people feel like they're standing next to us, they're walking right next to us. And we're just going to
Oh,
talk to them,
love
right?
it.
And so
Yeah.
that's it. That's the next step.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. I can imagine you here, Michael there, and we walk together through the woods. From Switzerland. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. In the book, we write about walking shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, I
Whole
know.
chapter.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's really not only for the health, but also for connection and collaboration and good ideas.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So what are you doing with those people who say, oh, you know, with the feet, I don't feel them?
Well, whenever a person is not understanding what you're teaching them and they're not getting it, it means it's never their fault.
Mhm.
It's never their fault. It just means that you have to go back to something simpler. You have to find what they're missing. And then, it's like, I'll give you an example. So for instance, you're working on something with the feet and they're not getting it. And then I might ask, well, have you ever been taught anything about your feet? And they'll say, oh yeah, someone taught me my toes have to point forward.
Mhm.
And I say, oh, okay. Well, what would happen if, that's a great question. What would happen if you gave that idea up? Like just for you, not forever, just now. What if you gave that up and you didn't have to point your toes
Mhm.
forward? How would your feet come down by themselves? Right? And then they might start to get it. So it's like you have to go back and find what is getting in the way of them
Mhm.
getting that. I'll give you a story. Here's the story. I have a friend, a somewhat new friend. He's a famous architect in America. And he's about 80 years old now. And he's been pigeon-toed his whole life, right? His legs are turned in.
Okay.
So we go for a walk, and I ask him about his walking. I notice his legs. I don't say anything. I say, tell me, how what you experience. And he told me, he said, I've been pigeon-toed all my life, and I try to not be pigeon-toed. So I said, well, listen, everybody's structure is different. What would happen? And we're walking shoulder to shoulder. What would happen if you just let your legs be your legs and let them do what your legs do? Don't compare them to anybody else's legs, you know? And then I taught a little bit about the feet and a little something, but mostly it was the permission for him to let his body be his body and find the most comfortable way for his body to work. And then about 5 minutes later, he said, I have never been this comfortable walking. So sometimes I call myself a permissionary. I go around and I give people permission, to no, you don't have to do that. Let's see what happens, and so often people are trying to do something right and
Mhm.
they try so hard, but they don't always question if their idea of right is right.
That's so
And
true.
yeah, and so we're interested in uncovering the natural way to walk, not teaching
Mhm.
someone the right way to walk. Because listen, kids don't have to be taught how to walk. No one teaches them how to walk. They instinctively know they have to go through a series of movements
Yeah.
to get the strength and the balance to be ready to walk. And when they are ready to walk, they walk. They figure it out. No one teaches them a thing about walking, hopefully.
Yeah,
And
hopefully.
yeah, and then they figure out how to walk. So walking is innate in humans. It's programmed, it's hardwired in us. We're all
Mhm.
designed to be able to walk well. And so really what happens is the way we think about our bodies, the way we feel about our bodies, the way what our culture teaches us about our bodies. all of this starts to interfere with how we move. Like animals don't know that they're male or female. They don't have a gender body, what I call a gender body. They don't know how old they are, so they don't have an age thing going. They don't know if they're beautiful or not, right? Or if there's something about their bodies that other dogs or cats are not going to like. You know, they don't try to hide something about their body. They don't say, oh, I'm too skinny, I'm too fat. You know, my feet should point forward. They don't do any of those
No,
things.
they don't
No,
care.
nothing. So you see how liberated they are from all that junk,
Yeah.
right? Michael and I try to get people, which we call it an issue-free body. So when all this stuff falls away, you're going to move better. You see? So it's more like revealing our innate coordination. We know how to walk. So we don't
Yeah.
have to you don't have to teach someone the right way to walk. You have to get them to get rid of all the weird things they do. So the thing that's really exciting about the book is that there is a methodology,
Yeah.
and it's taken, decades and decades, over a half century to work out. So there is a methodology, and it's been tested. I've tested it on thousands of students. So I know it works, virtually for everyone. And it's a method that doesn't use force, where you're not forcing your body to do something. We're getting you to do less and less efforting, and more happens. More movement happens as you effort less and less. So it's really a somewhat revolutionary approach to walking. It's different
So,
than most people who think they know the right way to walk will teach you.
yeah.
The work I do around walking is several steps further than what we can cover in Walking Well. So I conduct 9-day walking gatherings. I call it walking way gatherings. I have one coming up this week. I
Oh,
did 4
wonderful.
of them this summer where I live in New Mexico. So,
Yeah.
because I have a little retreat center right where I live. And
Beautiful.
so when I have people for 9 days, and I work with them basically morning till night, and we go out to the most beautiful places because I live in northern New Mexico. It's really transformative. So I'm planning to do, I'm working on doing them next year in the United Kingdom. But once I'm in Europe, if someone wants me to come to Europe and do a walking way gathering, I'll be available hopefully once a year to do that. And I'm also planning to spend January or February in Uruguay, where I'm going to be doing this, offering something in South America as well. So my goal is to do a walking way gathering every season, to do
Wonderful.
spring and fall in New Mexico, what would be my winter in South America, and to spend some time in the summer in Europe.
Wonderful. As we wrap up today's enlightening conversation, I want to extend my heartfelt thank you to you, Bruce, for sharing your valuable wisdom and personal journey with us. Your insight into the art of walking and its profound connection to our well-being are truly inspiring. We appreciate the time you've taken to enlighten us, and I encourage everyone listening to explore walking well as a guide to enhance comfort and vitality in your everyday steps. Thank you once again for joining us, and we look forward to your continuous contribution to the world of movement and personal development. Well, thank you so
And
much for being
yeah, you're
here.
welcome. You're welcome.
I trust that this conversation with Bruce Fertman has offered valuable insights into the power of self-mastery. Walking Well is available on Amazon, and I highly recommend to get a copy of the book to start walking well daily and improve your whole well-being. On the website walkingwell.com, you will find some valuable videos with great insights and experiences that you can use for yourself. Try it out and enrich your life immediately. There is also an online course, as you heard, to learn more about it, and much more will come. The recording of this interview will be available on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Ganz in Bewegung. Follow us for more content to come. Let us know how you found the event. Until next time, stay inspired and keep exploring the whole picture of your being.